In this video, we're going to take a look at the basic viewing tools that we have available to us in Autodesk Revit. There's multiple different ways that you can view. I'm going to give you what I think are maybe the best and easiest ways to view. So here I'm looking at a floor plan and I want to zoom in and out on some things, and maybe I want to pan around and move my screen. There are some view tools available to you over here in this view toolbar. There's the 2D wheel, and then there's the ability to zoom using this button here, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would totally use your mouse wheel. If you don't have a mouse with a wheel on it, you really need to get one to work effectively in this software. So if you want to zoom in or out, you basically just roll your wheel up and down, and it zooms in on the spot where you're holding your mouse. So if I want to zoom in on this fireplace, I'll hold my mouse over it, then I can zoom in by rolling up and zoom out by rolling down. If you want to pan or move your screen around, you will press your mouse wheel down. When you press your mouse wheel down, you're basically doing a click and drag with the mouse wheel, and this gives you the pan function. So between rolling the wheel and pressing that down, you should be able to zoom to pretty much anything that you want. If you double click your mouse wheel, it does a zoom extents, meaning that it zooms in or out to show everything that is drawn in this view. So again, if I zoom into a certain area and now I want to go back to the entire drawing, I'll double click the wheel, and now you can see it shows me the entire view. A couple other things regarding the views. If I want to switch to a 3D view, there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. If I scroll down in my project browser, I can find the 3D views category and 3D underneath it. I can double click that view, and that takes me to my default 3D view. If I close this window, it goes back to my floor plan. So my preferred way for getting to that view is right up here in the quick access toolbar. This little 3D house is my default 3D view. If you click that button, it takes you right to that view. So I find that to be a little quicker. So a lot of times I'm drawing on the floor plan and then I want to switch to 3D real quick to see what it looks like, and then I'll just close this view to get back to my floor plan. In terms of navigating in the 3D environment, the rolling of the wheel still works to zoom in and out. Pressing the wheel down still works to pan. Double clicking the wheel still does a zoom extent. But the big difference that I want to add here is that if you hold the Shift key and then press the mouse wheel down, you are in the Orbit tool. So just like you're panning, you're going to click and hold on that middle mouse button and move your mouse, but you're holding the Shift key with your left hand usually while you're doing that. So that way I can quickly spin around my house. Now Autodesk also gives us a view cube up here. You can click and drag with your left mouse button to orbit as well on that view cube. Personally, I feel the Shift and middle mouse button is a little smoother, so I prefer that method, but this is certainly available to you. The big advantage with the view cube is I can click on certain views. If I want to view it from the top, maybe rotate it around, maybe do a southeast isometric view, I can click on the specific edges or corners or faces to look at particular views in 3D. So that's the big advantage to the view cube. But again, if you're orbiting, I would just recommend holding the Shift key and pressing the mouse wheel down and moving your mouse. I think that's the fastest way. A few other things I want to talk about dealing with views. Down here at the bottom of the screen, this view control bar. First thing I want to point out is your scale. So the scale controls what things are going to print at. So if I go back to my first floor view, you can see the size of my dimensions here on screen. This is a 1/4 inch equals a foot view. If I were to choose an 1/8 inch equals a foot, it looks like the text got bigger. In reality, the text is the same size, and the drawing itself is now half the size it used to be. It's now going to print at 1/8 of an inch equals a foot instead of a 1/4 inch equals a foot. So I'll switch this back to 1/4 inch equals a foot, and now things look a little better. Again, it's kind of a hard concept to grasp. The text size itself is identical. I've just increased the size of this drawing twofold by going back to a 1/4 inch equals a foot. If I zoom in really close to one of these walls, you can see some of the different layers in the walls. And that's controlled by this button right here, level of detail. If I choose a coarse level of detail, then it just simply shows me the wall as one thickness. If I go to medium or fine, they should look about the same. Then I can actually see the different layers of the wall. So I can see the structure inside, and I can see the siding that's to the outside. And then depending on the scale, I can see the inside features as well, the sheetrock. So let's go to a 1/2 inch equals a foot. Let's double the size of this, and then we can see the layers a little bit better. So now you're actually able to see the plywood layer in here, you're able to see the siding, and you're able to see the drywall or the sheetrock that is to the inside. So again, that's the level of detail button. Switch back to the 3D view here, and the next button I want to show you is my visual style. So the visual style will change the way the model itself looks. We usually use this in 3D. Typically in the 2D views we're just sticking to a hidden line style. But as you can see, I'm in shaded. I can go to hidden line, and basically it's just kind of a grayscale version of it. I can go to wireframe. As you can see, that's pretty busy. I can see everything inside there. I can choose the shaded mode, which again we saw just a moment ago. And then I can choose realistic. So with the realistic, it's actually going to apply the materials to the model. And you can see those realistic materials that it's going to use later when we render scenes. Now I would stay away from this, especially if you have a computer that might not be the newest and fastest computer. This will slow things down quite a bit. I would stick to shaded and then just use realistic every once in a while if you want to see what the material is going to look like. One more view tool I want to show you is the section box. So over here in my properties, I'm going to scroll down until I see section box, and then I'll click to select it. When I move my mouse back out on screen, I'll have this little glass box around my house. And if I click on this box, I will get little grips around each side. So with these grips, I can click and drag those into the house so I can section my house on the fly and see what things look like inside. So let's say I was just placing the stairs in this front area and I wanted to see how they're looking. I'll grab this grip and drag it in a little bit until I'm cutting inside the house. And now I can get a good view of my stairs here. You can also see the floor structures, the ceilings, everything else. So that can be dragged in any direction. If I want to drag down from the top, so I can look down into the house, I can do so. Then at any point in time, to go back to the original, I can select these and drag them back out, or I can just come over here and turn off the section box. And it goes back to my full view. So again, that's just a quick look at some of the viewing tools that are available to us. I encourage you to practice those, because in order to be proficient at the software, you want to be able to move around and get exactly the views that you want when you're modifying something.